A vicious elbow, got tossed out of the game. The Minnesota Timberwolves won. However, he comes back with a huge game himself, 27 points, 17 rebounds, 3 blocks, as the San Antonio Spurs are one game closer to closing out this series against the Minnesota Timberwolves and former Georgia star Anthony Edwards. Welcome to Southeast Sports Plus, hour number 2. Gerhard Mathangani, Gabriella Genereaux, and Patrick Walsh. We talked about it. We said all the talk going into Game 5 was going to be how Victor Wembanyama handled everything. He did not get suspended. From what I heard, he didn't get fined, or if he did, he didn't get fined very much. Your thoughts on the way he bounced back and the fact that now they're one game away from closing it out?
Well, I know Patrick and I kind of disagreed on this topic because I said that I wanted him to be able to play just for the entertainment factor of watching what he could do.
And clearly the NBA thought it was good for him to be out there from a fan perspective. I think Patrick's talking a lot more about a philosophical perspective as it relates to the game.
Correct. And I just feel like last night's game kind of proved my point with what we saw, his performance, and you know why he is so special in this game.
But I was never doubting that he wasn't a good player.
Right.
I'm just saying, it was not morally correct to just be like, all right, you know what? We could just let a young player get away with whatever he wants because he's the NBA's golden child right now, and is not. I don't want to say he's the face of the league because the guy, a few hundred miles north of him is truly the face of the league, in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But it's just so it sits wrong with me. Yeah, the fact that he was just let off the hook for.
Well, he got suspended. He didn't get suspended, but he got ejected.
He got ejected, but he didn't even get fined.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I do agree with that. I think a fine could, definitely he deserves probably a fine. But I like that we saw him in this game.
I mean,
I flipped around.
This is just Adam Silver masterclass.
I did not come up with this thought, but I heard it and I thought it was probably one of the best thoughts. Flip the players. If Naz Reid does this to Victor Wembanyama, does Naz Reid play in Game 5? No. The answer is no.
He is.
But is that just part of being a great player? Is that just the prize that comes with being,
No,
maybe Naz just needs to pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, but it's garbage that he can just get away with it. It's so annoying.
He didn't get away with it, though. I feel like there's a difference between getting away with it and getting suspended. Because he did get ejected. I do agree with you on the point that a fine probably was necessary. But he didn't go unscathed in this situation.
He did pay a punishment.
He paid a punishment.
Patrick saying that he got slapped on the wrist.
Yeah.
When his actions probably deemed themselves worthy enough for a suspension.
I mean, what does Naz Reid have to do?
I understand your point.
Right.
Does he have to just drop dead, unconscious on the court?
That was another point because you played the what if game. Let's just say he does hit his temple and he gets knocked out. I do think there are bigger punishments. I don't know if it might go to a suspension, but then now it's like, are we just going to play the results? Are we just going to play the result because Naz Reid hopped up? He's now fine. Wemby can play Game 5, or are we going to say, hey, look, we're going to hold each NBA player. You are all professional basketball players. We're going to hold you all to the same standard, even though I know it's a star-driven league and he is a superstar. So that's the fine line that you have to cross. And the NBA made it clear as day. It's star over everything.
Right. And I understand both of your points.
You just agree with the NBA?
Correct.
Okay. So 27 points, 17 boards, three blocks. I think it's easy to say when you don't have a dog in the fight, and Memphis hasn't had a dog in the fight.
Go worry about Ja Morant.
Does this change the series now that the San Antonio's up now 3-2? It does go back to Minnesota for Game 6, but do you think this changes everything?
I still see it being a close series, especially going back to Minnesota and just the way that we've seen Ant perform over the series. I do think that Minnesota has a strong chance of taking Game 6.
And then going back to Game 7. So then this will all just be water under the bridge where it's like, hey, you won the game when Wemby was suspended. Wemby comes back, and then now you have a chance to win Game 7.
Yes.
Back there in San Antonio. Patrick, as much as your thoughts on how much this changed the series, do you think that, hey, had Wemby been suspended and the NBA would have played their cards right, Minnesota could have won last night and been able to take this thing away?
Yeah, I honestly think the series is over now. I think the Spurs, they might lose the next game, but they're not going to lose 2 in a row. And the opportunity was right there for Minnesota, and it definitely would have been there had Wemby not played in this game. even on the road. But the fact is, you're 1-2 against San Antonio on the road, and the 2 losses have not been good. I think they've lost by a combined 60 points, and you take away game 1, point differential is like -60, and that's just not good.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find an answer for Victor Wembanyama. I don't know what that answer is, because he's just, one of the biggest freaks of nature, so to speak, that we've seen in the NBA in history. And there's a lot of guys like that. Dwight Howard was always one where it's like, oh my goodness, this guy's an absolute animal.
Right.
And he's just able to, do things that you just wouldn't be able to believe. Victor Wembanyama had 17 rebounds just a week after he had a 13 block performance.
Right.
I mean, it's like, how do you find an answer for a guy that's as good as Wemby is when you have the roster that Minnesota has?
Right. Right. Especially as big as he is, too.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he is as big, it just feels like Minnesota sometimes has no answers for him. And he almost seems like an unguardable player.
Yeah. And I mean, we'll just let Anthony Edwards, explain it himself.
I think they had a lot of second chance points. I don't know, man. I got to go look at the film to really answer that question. But first thing that comes to mind is second chance points. I'm trying to find the offensive rebounds. I can't really find them.
27.
How many rebounds we had?
No, they had 11. They had 11
offensive rebounds. We had 10 offensive rebounds, so it's kind of even. But I think they converted on theirs more than we did. Tonight, some of the stuff that Wemby was doing, you don't really have too much of an answer for it. Just kind of hope he misses. But he came out high. He made a bunch of shots. I feel like we adjusted, fought back in the game, tried to dig ourselves out of the hole. But I mean, eventually they created another league and running out in transition. We got to get back. Get matched up. Just game plan mistakes that we keep making, and it's too late in the series to make these mistakes. Not knowing the game plan, executing on offense. Like, we know they're gonna come out and be physical defensively. We know how to go against that, and then us defensively, we know our coverage is what we're supposed to be doing when they're in pick and roll, and I think we're just not doing it enough. Yeah, I don't see nobody in the locker room that's too worried. At the end of the day, man, it's another basketball game. So you come out, put your boots on, and get ready to go to war.
So Anthony Edwards is kind of, just keeping it 100, so to speak, as the kids would say, like the fact that they're able to be right there, and him saying essentially, we understand that we have a little margin for error.
Yeah.
And we can't have lackadaisical mistakes. We can't turn the ball over and all of this.
Right.
In this exact same way we talked about with Scottie Scheffler. Knowing his faults, does that change the way he approaches tomorrow at Aronimink? Knowing their faults, do you think that this changes the way that the T-Wolves approach their mistakes as they go into Game 6?
I think so, and I think just with watching Ant there kind of break down the box score, trying to break down the box score, and understanding that, hey, we can't give Wemby these rebounds, we can't let them have these second chance shots. He's kind of already mentally understanding what we need to change going into the next game. I think that's also what makes him special as a player. So I do see Minnesota really fighting back in this Game 6.
Minnesota led by a former Georgia star and Atlanta native there in Anthony Edwards. A former Kentucky star also is on this basketball team there in Julius Randle. Patrick, Julius is not necessarily playing horrible in this series. It just feels like he's coming up a bit short of what he's used to. He averages 21 points per game, had 17 in this past one. How crucial will he be in the final 2 games if there are 2?
Well, I think, the final 2 games and whether or not, the Timberwolves move on to face the Thunder isn't going to be based on how Anthony Edwards plays. It's going to be how Julius Randle plays. I mean, you just cannot go 0 for 4 and 6 for 17 from the field and expect to be able to win a game as, the part of a 1-2 punch between, him and Anthony Edwards. Rudy Gobert is not going to get you the points that you're looking for, so to speak. So he is going to be that X factor for this team in making sure that they can move on to the next round. He stepped up in the absence of Anthony Edwards when he went out with that hyperextended knee. Now, can he do it again? That's yet to be seen. But this team isn't going to go based on, where Anthony Edwards goes, just because they have no answers for Victor Wembanyama. So you honestly have to have a perfect game from your superstars in order to beat a game that Wemby is in and is playing pretty well in. So he is going to be the determining factor on who the Oklahoma City Thunder play in the next round.
Yeah, and Oklahoma City has been resting for a while.
Oh, a long time.
Because they won their first series, then they swept their second series against LA. I'm going to ask you a different question than we had here. If you are Oklahoma City, do you want to see San Antonio just close this thing out? That way you can get that series started? Or do you like the extra rest and being able to say, hey, look, Minnesota can down the road, play a Game 7, and then play a San Antonio Spurs team that's coming off a 7-game series instead of a 5-game, so 6-game series?
Yeah, I feel like you have to go with the latter option because...
So you're not afraid of the rust?
No, because I think not only are you getting more rest, but the team you're going up against is playing more. So they're going to be more tired. They're going to... More tired isn't a word, I don't think. They're going to be...
Tireder?
Tired? That's not a word either. Is it more tired?
I think it's more tired.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't... Right. That didn't sound right coming out. But okay, more tired. I don't even know where my thought was anymore. Patrick, you take it over.
If I'm the OKC Thunder, the last thing I want to see is San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference Finals.
Man.
I mean, you go back to the regular season, what? San Antonio was 3-1 against them?
Yeah.
I mean,
they were
honestly,
a lot of them early.
They were the only team that really had Oklahoma City's number. And I don't think that if you are if you're Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and if you're Mark Dagnall, I don't think you want to see Victor Wembanyama, go up against Isaiah Hartenstein. Like, that's just not something, or Chet Holmgren, so to speak. I don't think that's a good matchup. If you look at the Minnesota Timberwolves, that is a good matchup. I think that, SGA can cancel out Anthony Edwards, but the depth just starts to wear you down with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And honestly, Sam Presti almost, won the draft lottery this past week. If Oklahoma City got another top 15 pick, this league would have been broken, because then they could have just traded everyone away.
That's the problem.
And just be able to replenish pick. Oh, look at this. We're winning 7 championships on rookie deals. What in the world has this league come to? Adam Silver, get your act together. This league is garbage. This league is garbage. Get your act together.
I am so excited to see what the ratings are at the end of this one, because I do think they'll take a dip. Pacers in 7. I do think it'll take a dip this year based on what we saw at the end of the season. I think that Oklahoma City can obviously start. Anytime there's a dynasty, there is something to watch there in the series. And so I do think that will be interesting as we move forward here in basketball.